Okay, let's unpack this. Think about your kitchen for a second. Or even just walking down the grocery aisle. The sheer number of, cooking oils and fats staring back at you, it can feel absolutely overwhelming.
It really can.
And the opinions, wow, everyone seems to have such a strong take, right? Olive oil, avocado, butter, canola. You probably have a whole bunch of different fats in your own home right now.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that, well, our goal today is to cut through all that noise for you. We're doing a deep dive, looking at the sources you sent to pull out the really vital insights, so you get a clear picture of which fats to maybe embrace, which ones to be a bit more cautious about, and crucially, why it matters for your health and your cooking. It's not just what, it's really understanding the impact.
Absolutely. And, when you talk about foundational fats, one just leaps out, doesn't it? Olive oil. Our sources actually call it the king. They talk about its incredible ancient history. People have been eating this stuff since Roman times, maybe even biblical times, some suggest.
That long history is significant.
If it worked for them for generations, well, you can feel pretty good about it today, right? We're talking specifically about extra virgin, unrefined types here. Those are the ones to really look for.
It's exactly right. And the reason olive oil is so beneficial, it's packed with monounsaturated fatty acids. These have a really positive effect on your HDL, that's your good cholesterol. And we should probably tackle a big myth right away.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The idea that cooking with olive oil makes it toxic or carcinogenic. There's been a lot of deep scientific work on this, and it's not true. Cooking with olive oil is fine. It's healthy, even with heat.
Okay, so what about those little spray cans of oil? People use them thinking they're being healthier, cutting down fat. Is that actually the wrong way to think about it for your health?
Precisely. That whole spray thing, it comes from this really outdated idea that fat is bad just because, well, calories, we understand now, is much more about hormones, how these fats interact inside your body, not just the calorie count. The fat in good unrefined olive oil is profoundly good for you.
Yeah.
So the sources say, use it generously. Don't be restrictive. Forget the spray. You want the quality fat itself.
Okay. And speaking of really foundational fats, let's talk animal fats. The unsung heroes, maybe. The sources highlight how stable they are for cooking, how traditional they are. Centuries of use, like the pork fat maybe your grandma used, or duck fat, which is amazing.
Delicious.
And pure beef tallow. The sources mention people living to 90, 100 years old in the countryside cooking with this stuff constantly.
And this ties into another important point. That long-held fear about saturated fats, we really need to move past that. The understanding now is saturated fats don't cause disease.
Okay.
In fact, their natural stability, their resistance to heat, that makes them ideal for cooking. What's fascinating here, actually, is the practice some people have with, say, Iberian pork bacon. After cooking it, they save the rendered fat. You collect it in a jar. And then you can reuse it just once more for cooking vegetables or whatever. Adds amazing flavor, great heat resistance.
Yeah. Okay, just once, though.
Yes. That's the key takeaway from the sources. Reuse it once for the best quality and health benefit. After that, it's best consumed with the food it cooked or just discarded. It really shows that traditional wisdom, doesn't it? How people used everything and kind of instinctively knew what worked.
That's a great practical tip. Okay, so let's dig into some maybe less common but still really interesting fats the sources explore. First one, stearic acid. Described as potentially a primary energy source for the human body. So when they say primary energy source, what does that actually mean for us? For our daily energy, beyond just tasting good on eggs and meat, apparently.
It basically means your body is incredibly good at converting it into usable energy. It's efficient. Unlike some other fats, stearic acid gets metabolized in a way that gives you a kind of steady, clean fuel. Really effective for your cells. It's fundamental for energy production.
Got it. Okay, next up. For anyone who gets that sweet craving after a meal, the sources mention coconut butter, sometimes called coconut nutter playfully, or coconut manna.
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic option. It tastes naturally sweet, but it only has about 1 gram of sugar, so it's a way healthier choice than reaching for something with lots of added sugar. Just a spoonful can really hit the spot, curb that craving without the sugar roller coaster.
Right, avoids the crash. Okay, and then MCT oil. Medium chain triglycerides, that's gotten super popular, known as one of the fastest energy sources out there. It's in coconut oil, but this is the extracted version.
Exactly.
People put it in bulletproof coffee sometimes, right? For morning energy. And apparently good for HDL too.
That's right. It provides very rapid fuel. Now let's touch on red palm oil. This one Kind of like coconut oil had a bit of a bad reputation for a while.
I remember that.
But the thing is, unrefined red palm oil, it actually has a healthy profile, quite similar to coconut oil. So the thinking is, if coconut oil has sort of, paid its dues and is now seen as healthy, red palm oil probably should be too. However, the sources make a really important point here about responsible production.
Ah, the environmental side.
Exactly. Some producers cause serious environmental damage. So choosing your source carefully becomes part of the health calculation for you. It raises that ethical question too.
That's a critical point for consumers today, absolutely. Okay, what about sesame oil? Sources mention it for specific uses, like with raw tuna or maybe lightly cooked fish.
Yes, perfect for that specific kind of culinary use. But here's a really key caution that comes up regarding seed oils generally. While some, like sesame, have their place in very small amounts for flavor, they can be quite inflammatory if you eat too much of them.
Inflammatory, okay.
And the sources give this really memorable detail. That little bottle of sesame oil, it could last you 10 years because you use so little each time. That really tells you something about the quantity we should be thinking about.
That paints a picture. And it leads us right into the cautionary part of this story. We need to talk about the oils our sources strongly advise against, or at least express serious doubts about. Let's start with one that might surprise people. Avocado oil.
Yeah, the skepticism around avocado oil is pretty significant in these sources. The core issue isn't whether avocados themselves are healthy they are. It's whether the oil processed from them is necessarily healthy for us.
Okay, why the doubt?
The main thing is its lack of ancestral consumption. Humans haven't been eating avocado oil for millennia, like olive oil. Olive oil is relatively easy to make. You can go to an almazara, a traditional mill, see it pressed. It's natural, avocado oil. Not something our species consumed historically. And it's not simple to make naturally. It often involves, more industrial processing. So the question becomes, if we haven't evolved eating this for a long time, and it takes complex methods to produce, should we be cautious? The advice from these sources is basically, when in doubt, maybe just stick with what you know works, what has that long history. Why take unnecessary risks with your health?
When in doubt, stay put. That's pretty clear advice. Okay, and then there's the big category of vegetable oils you see everywhere. Supermarket shelves. Soy oil, corn oil.
Yeah, and here the warning gets much stronger. Soy oil, corn oil, they're described as tremendously harmful and inflammatory, full stop. And then there's the really interesting story behind canola oil.
Right, ubiquitous.
Think about it. Where does coconut oil come from?
Coconuts?
Beef fat.
From the cow?
Canola oil
Uh-huh.
comes from the supermarket. That's kind of the joke, but it highlights the point. Canola is actually an abbreviation. Canadian oil. It comes from rapeseed that was genetically modified, primarily by Canadians, to reduce certain undesirable compounds.
Genetically modified. Okay.
It's a heavily industrial product, very different from, pressing olives or rendering tallow. Our sources express a strong distrust of genetically modified foods generally. They point out the big debate, especially in the U.S., about labeling GMOs. Unlike somewhere like Brazil, apparently, where it's clearly declared. It raises questions about transparency, about letting you make an informed choice.
Right.
The advice is pretty blunt. You are not a laboratory rabbit. You're not a guinea pig. Stick to the natural fats, the ones with that ancestral track record, until maybe generations of studies can really prove the safety of these newer industrial oils.
So what does this all mean for us, boiling it down, these generic vegetable oils?
They often contain high levels of things like inflammatory arachidonic acid, stuff you definitely don't want building up in your body, promoting inflammation. It's a huge contrast to the stability and the long human history associated with good saturated and monounsaturated fats. That's a crucial difference for your long-term health.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to take in, but understanding these differences feels incredibly important. This whole deep dive, yeah, it might seem confusing at first glance with all the names and types, but the insights are just, they feel really impactful. It just reinforces that idea, doesn't it? That fat is literally the foundation of your cells, the foundation of your brain. It's the foundation of life, really.
It absolutely is. And if you know how to choose those fats, the right ones, believe me, your life will be better. Better in quantity of years, yes, but maybe more importantly, in the quality of those years. So here's something to think about. Given how truly fundamental fats are to every part of your body, how does this new understanding, this contrast between ancestral use and modern industrial processing, how does that change the way you look at healthy eating claims you see everywhere now? From all sorts of modern sources. Makes you think, doesn't it?